We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani.
And my name is Roland.
And we're here this morning to have conversation with you. So listen, wherever you are dialing in from, tuning in from, logging in from around the world, we want to know what city, state, and country so that we can represent you. We're going to start something new. We're going to have some conversations that I think are important. Anytime we're in these staff meetings, anytime we're talking with our clients, anytime we come across, reminders of some of the things that couples are struggling with, we want to bring it to the show to begin to aid you and guide you in a process that can lead to your continual restoration. So what we're talking about today is why couples fail after an affair. Now, the reality is not all couples fail. In fact, we say this all the time, that the majority of couples, when they experience an affair, the affair isn't the reason. It is not the reason why they do not work. There are other things that have taken place. And so we want to get into those conversations today. But before we do that, we got to recognize the fact that, listen, we are in October. There's a lot going on. This weekend is actually a last chance weekend. We have a couple coming down, waiting to experience a tremendous amount of restoration. November and December right around the corner. Now, November, December are important because as we approach the end of a year and the beginning of a new, a lot of people are in a state of, I don't know. They're in a state of ambiguity. Do I move forward? Do I not? Do I end it? Do I begin it? Or do I restart it? And so you're looking for clarity. You're looking for direction. You just want to get out of your pain. So I want to encourage you that the last chance weekend will be November the 11th through the 13th, which is the second weekend of November. And then we also have one December the 9th through the 11th, which is the second weekend of December. So make sure you do what you can to reach out to us. Let's set up a discovery call. Let's talk about how we can serve you, because you do not have to enter into a new year the way that you're currently existing in your relationship today. So listen, guys, before we dive into today's great conversation, I want you to hear from someone who recently went through a last chance weekend, and I want you to hear the impact that it's had on her and her relationship. Check it out.
Hi, my name is Shawn Olivier, and I'm from Louisiana. My husband and I came to Last Chance Weekend because it was definitely our last chance. We were lost in the process. Being here is an experience that I can't really explain. You definitely have to experience it. I was the person that thought they will not get to me. My mind is my mind. It is set. This is how I feel. I will not budge. After the first day, it was pretty tough. It was long hours and it was hard conversations. The next day was a breaking point for me. It showed me how much my husband and I really still loved each other, that there was hope for our marriage. I watched testimonials, I've watched videos, and I did not believe it. I was like, there's no way 3 days is going to get you to a different point. Believe me when I say that there is hope, that you feel a sense of freedom within yourself and your marriage. I would not trust my well-being, my love, my marriage in any other hands than Couples Academy. That is my truth. They will forever be our family, our friends. I trust them, and I do not trust easily. If you are struggling with your own self-doubts, your own self-love, your marriage, get here. It is worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it.
I tell you, there's nothing like it. That testimonial from Sean about what impact it had on her and the journey, the experience that she endured. See, this is not for the faint of hearts. It is not for someone who wants to tiptoe, tap dance, or pussyfoot through an experience. We fully submerge you. We dive in head first. I'm telling you, Roland, I mean, have you been to anything or experienced anything like a Last Chance weekend? I know many ministries, many organizations do a lot of things, but what we do is uniquely different.
Man, listen to me. It is life-changing, transformational exercises and unpacking the very depths of your soul to get to a point of renewed life. It's almost being on the operating table on that bed and you're being resuscitated back to
Mm.
life, right? Because most people come, they are dead, they are done, they are over with, and they just don't want no parts of what they've been through until they are open, they are honest, and they are willing to
Yeah.
go through the process, and then their whole life is renewed, and it is amazing. I've never seen anything like it.
And what brings people true healing and restoration, one of those things is what we're going to talk about today, which is actually one of the reasons why so many couples fail after infidelity, after an affair. And we're going to talk about how we solve that problem at a Last Chance weekend. Now, whether an affair happened a month ago, a year ago, a decade ago, and for some couples literally decades plural ago, they they're stuck in I don't know. So one of the reasons why couples fail is because they don't know what happened. They do not know what happened, and it's hard for them to move forward if they have no clarity. Think about this. Have you ever felt like you were just like you've asked questions, you were inquiring about something, but you felt like you were in the dark? Have you ever felt like you were in the dark? Like imagine being in darkness. There's no light. You cannot see. Now, if you were in your home and it was pitch black, there's a familiarity. You know how to navigate through certain rooms. You know where furniture is. You know how to move without getting hurt. But imagine yourself in an environment that you're not familiar with and you're in total blackness, total darkness. Something's going to happen. Number one, there's a fear that takes over you. Number two, you don't know what's around you. You don't know what you're doing. And you're trapped. And this is the state, this is the space where so many couples find themselves, particularly the betrayed spouse, when it comes to understanding what has happened. That's a scary feeling right there. Like just watching a black screen makes people feel uncomfortable, let alone being trapped in complete darkness. And this level of darkness makes it hard to hope, hard to believe, hard to trust, hard to move forward, because when you're in darkness, you're very caught. You don't want to go anywhere because you don't know what's beyond you. And so when a spouse does not take the time to articulate in a comprehensive way what has gotten them to this place, what has led to the affair, the details of the affair, it leads for some couples to that relationship's demise.
You're absolutely right. And the illustration that you just used to visually see darkness, to see a black screen, it almost puts you in a state of, I need to figure this out. I need to get it right. Because a lot of times we are in darkness within ourselves, which produces darkness to others. And that's why we find ourselves in situations that we're in. But when we realize that there is some light, if we're willing to find it, we can come out of the darkness and be better off for everybody.
Now, this is not just our opinion. We're not coming up with something that sounds good. This is not just based upon our experience working with couples, but there's statistical data that supports how powerful a full disclosure or unpacking of the affair is to the success of the relationship. Just looking at just a few statistics, okay? Number one, only 55% of those who discuss the affair or their situation still remain together. Okay. 78% of those who discuss the situation are still together. 86% of those who discuss the situation often with their partner are still together. So it's those who don't, those who discuss it a little bit, and those who continue to discuss it. Now, I find this to be interesting because oftentimes, Roland, the former unfaithful partner just wants to stop talking about it. They just want to move forward because in their mind, they believe that the conversation of the affair is damaging, will make things worse, and will lead to the demise of the relationship. But the studies and the statistics actually support the exact opposite. It says the less you talk about it, or the refusal to talk about it, is what will lead to the demise. But the more there's a willingness to talk about it, because for the betrayed spouse, oftentimes it's therapeutic. They're able to get things out. They're not compartmentalizing their feelings and suppressing things. And so having the conversation ongoingly in a healthy way allows for the restoration of that relationship.
Absolutely. What happens is when we do not tell the story as it was, we give the betrayed spouse the opportunity to tell their own story, to tell their own narrative. And it can be totally opposite of what actually happened. And when we're not willing to be expressive, to change the things that have happened, to say what has happened, then nothing will change. We have to be willing and open and honest to have those hard conversations about what has happened to bring us to a better place. When you have the attitude of I don't want to talk about it, let's just get over it, just forget about it. What happened has happened. That's the wrong attitude to have. You will stay in a stagnant place because you don't want to change. You don't want to be exposed, if you would, the things that have happened. But it is very therapeutic. I promise you it is, to open up, to be honest, to have those conversations, because now you're being intimate with one another
Mhm.
in ways that's outside of being intimate with each other.
Mm. Great point. But not only is it therapeutic for the betrayed spouse, but the reality is when a former unfaithful spouse refuses to talk about it, they remain trapped in
Mhm.
self-deception. Okay. They're not only deceiving their spouse and deceiving whomever else may have some understanding of what may happen, but they're deceiving themselves. And so it goes back to that statement, a lie told 1,000 times is more believable than the truth told once. But when you're lying to yourself and you're deceiving yourself, you can get to the point where you begin to believe your own lie, right? It changes your psychology, it changes your perception of reality, even though you've experienced it. And there's so many people who are walking around completely self-deceived, right? Completely oblivious to their own selves, that change never takes place in them. And so as a result, they remain trapped in the same relational pattern and dynamic of their relationship.
And then when those folks walk like that, they're wondering why they can't seem to get ahead of the game. There, because we're just dead men walking, dead women walking, because we do not want to tap into being honest with ourselves, right? Because yes, it's having a conversation and having the level of empathy with the betrayed partner is one thing, but to your point, until we get to the place of being honest with ourselves, for us to come out of darkness, to be able to share some
Mhm.
light,
Yeah.
right? We're going to find ourselves just walking around like the hamster on the wheel, just
Yeah.
spinning and spinning and spinning and not getting anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, we would encourage you, if you find yourself in this space, if you're still struggling in your relationship, but if it seems to the point where, we're too far gone by now, I don't see how that we can make it, we haven't taken the right steps. It's not too late. You can turn things around. All it requires is diving back, peeling back, taking a few steps back to one of the first steps in the recovery process, and that's full disclosure. So then the question often becomes, well, how much is too much to tell? Like, sharing what has happened is not synonymous with sharing every single detail of what has happened. Now, in terms of how much you should share, it really depends upon the person that you are married to, because there are two types of individuals. Some people who, when you share information with them, it helps. Others, it hurts, harms, and hinders when you get into the gory details of specific things that are not healing or helpful, because a lot of times people struggle with intrusive thoughts. And once they hear, they can't unhear. Once they see, they can't unsee. And they're haunted by, certain details. So you can, in a very appropriate way, talk about what has occurred without setting them back. Let's see if this lands a little bit. I have 4 children, right? So one of them is 18, one of them is 17, 15, 14, 12. Now, I have to communicate differently with my 12-year-old than I would my 18-year-old. There's a level of maturity and understanding that one has that the other doesn't have. Now imagine when they were much younger, right? So you have to be mindful on how you communicate, what you communicate, and then you're dealing with different personalities. The way I talk to one, I can't talk to the other the same way. So my approach has to be different. So when it comes to sharing and full disclosure and how you begin to articulate, you have to keep in mind who you are dealing with and what they have a need for. Now, what if the betrayed spouse says they want to know everything, right? Every single detail. And you're struggling with, are they really willing to accept what I have to say? And will this land well? This is exactly why you bring in an expert like Roland. You bring in an expert like Janella, his wife. You bring in, one of the practitioners on our team or whoever you may be working with, because sometimes when you're sharing sensitive information, delicate information, you want someone else, a third party, who can help navigate and facilitate the conversation to make sure that you don't shut down, go back into your cave because it's getting uncomfortable, or they don't explode and become too reactive because they hear something that they don't like. So there's a process to this. And when you fully embrace it, you both can come out on top.
Yeah, you said so much. There has to be a willingness, one, to want to be vulnerable, to be transparent. There has to be a safe space to want to be vulnerable and transparent. And a lot of times, I don't want to call it a referee, but there has to be a mediator in between to have a safe space to want to be vulnerable and transparent. We have to understand the betrayed spouse. It is just as much hurt and damage to them as it is to the betrayed. And we have to make sure that the atmosphere and the environment is conducive for both parties to heal. We can try to do it on our own, but it won't get us as far as we can get when we're willing to have a third party in and be willing to share the details of what has happened. A lot of times, to your point, we have to speak differently. All spouses are not the same. And really, honestly, I really think it's just a matter of you willing, the betrayed partner, willing to have the conversation. I just want to know that you even willing to show up differently, because you're not hiding anything. You're not, being in this place of, I did what I did and just get over it and just deal with it, but someone that is willing to go there with them themselves to show a level of remorse. We watch the court TV shows and the person showed no remorse. So what that means, the judge has no sympathy for them, right? They can't work with them because they show no remorse. So when the betrayed spouse is willing and wanting to be transparent and vulnerable, I believe that there should be a third party to have that safe environment to give both parties a place to be vulnerable.
That's a powerful, powerful point. Showing no remorse, which is a huge piece of the puzzle, because a lot of people remain stuck because they don't okay, fine. You're so stale telling me what you did as if you were justified, or as if it made no big deal, or as if, and you're right, that remorse piece. And sometimes people feel it on the inside, but they don't know how to properly express it in a way that, it connects with their spouse. So there's a lot of complexity to this, and that's why you need help. Anyway, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more insight on how to keep from failing due to the failure to embrace full disclosure. Be right back. Hey, everybody. My name is Hasani Pettiford.
And I'm Danielle Pettiford, and we are the co-founders of Couples Academy, and we cannot wait to join you all the way in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yes, for the International Family Life Practitioners Conference. Listen, it's going to be happening on October 20th and 21st at 9 a.m. It's going to be at the David Christian center. So make sure you show up. If you're a therapist, a practitioner, a coach, if you're anywhere in the marriage space and you want to take your business and your ministry to the next level, be there.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Well, we're back, guys. We're talking about why couples fail after an affair, giving really some insight about the importance of having effective, comprehensive conversations that'll lead to their healing and restoration. Listen, a great question came in, and this was really where we were going next. And I just want to acknowledge what he's saying. Black Butterfly One says, what are some questions to ask? What are some questions to ask when going for full disclosure? And how do I ask them without seeming hateful, for lack of a better way of putting it? I think that's a great question because, what I've learned from my experience working with a tremendous amount of couples, you can share your opinion, but beyond the facts, beyond the specific details, many people are stuck with the why, still not understanding why. They're more of the feeling questions than the fact questions. And that's what gets them tripped up, because once they know, okay, this is what happened, fine. Okay, I get it. That's what happened. But why? What was going on in your mind? What were you thinking? What was going on in our relationship? Like, that's the stuff. And oftentimes those why questions are what people struggle to figure out, to give a comprehensive answer. And so that's why so many people don't have closure. What does your experience tell you?
It's the why and it is the what, because a lot of times we do things based on hurt people. And what happens is we take this approach of feeling as though it's okay to do certain things, not realizing the damage that it's causing. And so when we're having these full disclosures, when we're asking these questions, the why is a very important, and then that what kicks in as to, like you, to your point, what was going on with us that made you do what you did? What was happening in your mind, in your world, that caused you to go and do the things that you did? The full disclosure gives an opportunity to just lay it all out, to just kind of put it into perspective, what was going on, what I was thinking, how I was feeling, to give a comprehensive answer to where we were in life. And a lot of times we don't want to do that. We don't want to be honest with how I was feeling and how I was showing up. And, we try to give excuses to dance around the whys, to dance around the what was causing or what caused it. And that puts us in that hamster on the wheel. We're not getting anywhere. So asking the right questions, it's not so much about asking the right questions. Again, it's the willingness to answer the questions that are being asked.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I'm sorry, Roland, go ahead.
No, you're good. It's just saying that, just that willingness to answer the questions, to have a level of sympathy and a level of honesty will catapult you in the full disclosure. That will catapult your relationship when you're being honest and being transparent.
So I want everybody to break out a pad and a pen. I'm about to give you some really great questions that you could begin to ask and have a conversation with your spouse. But before we do that, to give you time to get that pad and pen, I just want to go to Denise. She said, remembering the events of the D-Day, Roland is spot on. Showing no remorse is adding insult to injury. Very, very true. Then Jay says, full disclosure completely helped us get through the process. My spouse never found out the why she has the affair. Well, let me give you some questions for you to consider, okay? So not a lot. I'm sure you've asked quite a bit, but here's just a few to consider. Number one, what did the affair mean to you? That's a very, very interesting question. Okay, you were in this affair. You said it meant nothing. You said it was only. You've minimized it. You've made it no big deal. But it had to mean something to you in order for you to have engaged in it. So what did this mean to you? Now, this is a question that, maybe you can ask in the midst of a conversation, or maybe this is a question that you give your partner to think and consider so that when you have the conversation later, they can give you more of a comprehensive answer that makes sense. Another question is, did you feel entitled when you had your affair? Did you feel entitled? Okay. Did you believe that because of your status and because of who you are and because of what, or maybe the pain that you've endured, you felt entitled to get what you weren't getting? Like, what was entitlement a part of that? Another question, why do you think that you could not express your needs to me emotionally, intellectually, or sexually? Here's the fact. A lot of times for certain spouses, Roland, their spouse is completely caught off guard because there never was a complaint. There never was a conversation. You've never told me what you were lacking, what you were missing, what you weren't fulfilled with. I had no clue. Wait a minute, check this out, guys. What was your spouse?
In the
dark. They were in the dark.
Wow,
so they did not know. So why didn't you take the time to come to me? There are certain personalities that avoid conflict. They just want to keep the peace. They don't want to get into an argument. They don't want to bring things up. And so they internally deal with things instead of taking the time to connect with their spouse. That's facts.
That is facts. And the other side, the flip side of that resentment builds up. That resentment builds up. You literally walking around with resentment to your spouse that does not know what you need because you have not communicated a need. You have not expressed a want, a desire. And then it blows up the way that it does because, to your point again, they were in the dark.
Here's another great question. Did you ever get to a point where you felt that you were losing yourself or felt torn or confused? Now, I think this is a great question because the assumption by the betrayed spouse is that, oh my God, they were just living their best life and all was great. And man, you had this fantasy that you were fulfilling and everything was like an amusement park and everything was wonderful and kicks and giggles. And the reality is, for some, at some point in this affair, there's this internal turmoil that is eating them up on the inside, struggling with guilt, vacillating back and forth. Should I stay? Should I go? Oftentimes they want to leave, but something keeps pulling them back in. Maybe they feel coerced or trapped, or maybe they're threatened by the affair partner that if you leave now, I'm going to expose you. So there's a lot that's happening, a lot of internal struggle that a person is going through. So the question, once again, did you ever get to a point where you felt that you were losing yourself, felt torn or confused in your affair? Is that not powerful?
That is absolutely powerful, and it's scary at the same time, because anytime you step outside of yourself, anytime you step outside of your marriage, you put yourself in a vulnerable position that is not where you want to be, and then you expose yourself and your family, right, to unnecessary harm and danger. We call those self-inflicted wounds because you did something that was so unnecessary that you did not have to do.
Absolutely. And next question. Did you ever worry that your affair would destroy our relationship? Now, interestingly, some people don't give thought to it. they're of the opinion my spouse will never find out, so all will be well. I can maintain both lifestyles, no big deal. Other people literally are engaged in an affair, and they struggle with fear. They struggle with anxiety because of what if somebody finds out? I can't be seen. We can't go there. We can't do that. And so all the energy you're putting into this affair, it's not even serving you the way you thought, because you're trapped in all of this struggle. So I think that's an excellent, excellent question. What was in the mindset of the person, and did they ever think that it would destroy their relationship? We got a couple more. Here's another one. What was it like for you to lie? Now think about it. When you're in an affair, first of all, an affair is a lie. It's secrecy. It's deception. It's giving a false impression. But then you had to continue to lie to me. You lie, not just, no, I'm not having an affair. No, it never happened. No, whatever that is. But you're constantly lying throughout the entire relationship because you're trying to live a very clandestine life. And so if that was something that you weren't doing prior to the affair, living a lie, constantly lying, and now you find yourself in that space, what were you going through internally as you were lying? Powerful, powerful question. Two more. Do you think that I have to, one more. Did you want to leave me, or was the affair just an addition to us? Now, here's the deal. For men and women, it's different. And, whenever you're dealing with relational issues, sometimes you have to generalize. Because if we give you absolutes, you can find a situation or circumstance that contradicts the absolute we're giving you. So we don't give you absolutes. But generally speaking, most men who have affairs aren't in an affair because they want to leave their marriage. Most want the best of both worlds. They want their spouse. They want their mistress. They think that they can handle both. Leaving their spouse was never in their mind, in most cases, an option. Having a primary relationship with the affair partner was, for many people, would never cross their minds. And this is why it's important to really understand the type of an affair that will confirm what I'm saying, and the motive and the reason and the why for the affair as well. So these are phenomenal questions. What are your thoughts, Roland?
It just speaks to the point, as the old folks used to say, we want our cake and we want to eat it too. And it puts us in a vulnerable position once again to live this lifestyle that is so unnecessary. It just goes back to speak to the childlike behavior or mentality or attitude that we have when we think that we can manage two households. The old folks used to say you can't have more than one house key. Right? You're trying to do too many things. You're trying to do too much. You're talking too loud. You're making too much noise, if you would, because trying to comprehensively handle two relationships and give 100% is impossible to do. Be committed to your one relationship that you made a vow in, and give your all to that. And he will be everything that you want, need, and desire. You don't have to go outside of that to get what you need.
Guys, I hope this is helping. I hope that you got something out of today. Today was just part one. Like, we're really going to walk through comprehensively all of the things that can literally sabotage your relationship, which leads to why so many couples fail after an affair. But listen, guys, tomorrow's Friday. We're going to have relationship Q&A with asking the experts your particular questions, and we will pick up back on Monday in this series. So make sure you stay tuned. And for all of those who have heard about the Foundry experience, it is coming up in January. We're excited about it. The link is in the description. If you have not signed up, you need to go ahead and do that, because it's going to be a transformational experience. But until then, guys, love you. And we will see you we'll see you on tomorrow morning. Take care. When 45 men from all walks of life come together in one place for one purpose, there is a collective harmony that produces an amplification of power that leaves an impact on the lives of men that cannot be erased. A fraternity of legendary men, all at the tipping point, on the precipice of greatness, meeting for one weekend to turn their worlds inside out. For the first time ever, the Foundry experience. Not an event, not a seminar or retreat,
but an opportunity to come face to face with the man you were always destined to be. If you want a life that's better than the one that you are living, meet us January 2023 for the Foundry Experience.